Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to continue rounding numbers to the nearest 10 on the number line. So let's think about what we learned yesterday. And we are looking first at the number 28. And I'm going to go ahead and get my pencil ready. Okay. So again, we're using a vertical number line, a line that goes up and down. And our first number is 28. So 28 rounds to. So let's think about what is the first step that we have to do. First step we have to do when we're rounding to the nearest 10 is to think about what two tens does this number come between. So when I'm counting by tens, what does 28 come between? So if I say 10, 20, 30, right? 28 comes between 20 and 30. So 20 is going to be the number that goes on the bottom, and 30 is going to be the number that goes on the top because we're working our way up. Then we have to decide what is the halfway point. Well, remember, half of 10 is 5. So if we count by 5s in between our 10s, 20, 25 is our halfway point. And we're looking at the number 28. So we think of this number line like this: 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 would be about here, right? And who can remember the rule? Think to yourself right now, what is the rule? The rule is if you are at the halfway point or above, the number rounds up to that nearest 10. If you are below the halfway point, your number rounds down. And if you want to think of the riddle, we think 5 through 9 climbs the vine, 0 through 4 stays on the floor, okay? This ends in an 8, and it is definitely past the halfway point. So that means that 28 rounds up. It rounds up to 30. All right, use a vertical number line to round to the nearest 10. And now we have the number 17. So let's think about what 17 comes between when we're counting by tens. 0, 10, no, doesn't come in between those two. 20, 10, 20, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yep, comes between 10 and 20. And remember, when we think of halves of tens, we know that those end in 5s. So that means that halfway between 10 and 20 is 15. Now, the number that we're trying to round is 17, and we are deciding, are we rounding up or are we rounding down? So 17, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 would be about here. 17 is past the halfway point. So 17 rounds up to 20. Okay, we can also think of it as 5 through 9. 7 is in 5 through 9. Climbs the vine. It rounds up. When we use that little riddle, we're looking at this number in the ones place. You don't have to use the riddle, but it does help kids a lot. In lots of years past, kids have relied on that riddle to help them with the rounding. So again, it's 5 through 9, and that's when you look at the ones place, climbs the vine, 0 through 4 stays on the floor. That rounds down. So if you want to use that riddle to help you, it might help. Okay, new one. Now we're looking at 75. We're thinking about what does 75 round to? So when I'm counting by tens, what two tens does 75 come between? So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Yep, if I count from 70 to 80, I will say 75 in between, right? 70 to 80. And actually my halfway number, I know it has to end in a 5 because half of 10 is 5 and these are all tens. So my halfway point is 75, which is the same as this number. And if you remember the rule of rounding, the rule of rounding is 5 through 9 climbs the vine, and there's the 5. Also, you can think of it this way. The halfway point and on rounds up. Anything under the halfway point rounds down. So this definitely rounds up. 75 rounds to 80. Okay, let's try the number 15. So 15, if I'm counting by tens, 0, 10, 20. Yes. 15 comes between 10 and 20. And again, it's actually the halfway point because look at the ones place. It ends in a 5. Half of 10 is 5. And when we're counting from 10 to 20, 15 is halfway. So let's remember the rule. 5 through 9 climbs the vine. If it's at the halfway point or higher, it rounds up. So that means that 15 rounds to 20. Okay, now we've got 81. 81 comes between which two tens? Well, this can give me a clue. If I look at my tens place, I know it's in the 80s. So that's going to be my bottom number. And I know if I count 10 more, that takes me to 90, right? 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So 80 and 90. So now I have to think, what's the halfway point? Well, again, half of 10 is 5, right? So 80, 85, 90. So 85 is the halfway point. And I think about where 81 would be. 80, 81. Okay, here's the halfway point. If you're at the halfway point or above, you round up. If you're below the halfway point or below, you round down. So 81 rounds down to 80. 0 through 4, remember we look at this one. 0 through 4 stays on the floor. It rounds down. Okay, boys and girls, this is the last one we're practicing in the video today. 37. 37 comes between which two tens? It's going to come between 30, and I have a clue of knowing that because all I have to do is look at the tens place. And it goes up to 40 because 10 more than 30 is 40. What's my halfway point? I know half of 10 is 5, so it must end in a 5. So 35, right? Now let's look at the number that we're rounding. 37, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. So I'm asking myself, is 37 past the halfway point? Yes. Since it is, I round up. 37 rounds to 40. 5 through 9 climbs the vine. 0 through 4 stays on the floor. 37 rounds to 40. Okay, boys and girls, again, that is how we do rounding. You can think of it both ways. Either way, you can think of it as just the halfway point or above is rounding up. Anything below that and down is rounding down, if that's easier for your brain. If the riddle helps your brain, it is 5 through 9, climbs the vine, 0 through 4, stays on the floor. All right. So whichever way you remember it is okay, because it's gonna get you to the right answer. Okay, now you're off to do your problem set.